Hello and welcome to this week's Bridge Update. We have some big news, and I mean really big news that I was able to get because these people are just standing around right beside the road. So we have a lot of work going on off to the left, and as you can see, big prep work happening. I was not standing very still right there. I straightened up. Okay. We have the 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐞 excavator tamping down the gravel right there. And I was wondering if they were going to fill in that catch pond, because that could be problematic, but maybe they won't, maybe they will. They're going to have to do something to keep the drainage from causing problems down the hill. And then we had this bulldozer up here pushing stuff up this mound, and I was like, why is this happening? And then we had this truck back in, and the 𝐥𝐤𝐤 walked up the hill. So, get up to the top of the hill, and we will see what happens next. Always fun to watch heavy equipment move. But I realized that I was going to be in danger's way if I stayed on that side, so I walked across the road in a moment. We got traffic stopped both directions, and it looks like that's going to continue for a little bit. One of the guys said that the bulldozer operator is the most experienced and best bulldozer operator in the area. So, good to have a very experienced and excellent machine operator. I kind of wouldn't mind doing that. I switched over, came up here, and I asked the guy standing here what he knew about what was going on, and he said he's just filling in for somebody else. So he didn't have much information. But I backed up a little bit, and I was kind of surprised with exactly how steep that grade was, having the uh, 𝐥𝐤𝐤 climb up that. That looked like more than 30 degrees, and then he almost falls over. But a lot of weight on the bottom, so he doesn't have any problems. The dump truck started to pull out, and it was like, wait, no, don't. He had him back up again, and they filled him up. They're taking that pile of dirt out, and I'm wondering how much they're going to take out before they start putting back in. But they're starting to put the gravel back in, so we'll just see what happens. Watched him do a few bucketfuls into the dump truck. So, pause to watch the heavy machinery run. Which I like to do. That is quite a large bucket. While I was standing there, I talked to the guy about what they're doing, and he wasn't really sure. And I said, well, usually when they cut something out, it's because they're not sure how stable it is. And so he didn't know specifically, but we both rather suppose that they're just trying to make sure that they can build a very solid foundation and have the roadway on a good, compact, solid surface. I also asked him where they're sending these, and he said that he wasn't sure, but they are filling in down below, so I'm guessing that this is going down to Long Shoals, and they're using it as fill in the area below. Not sure, but I walked on because I realized there wasn't a whole lot more to see, and I knew he wasn't going to be moving while he was getting filled, so I wasn't worried about walking in front of him. I got here, and some of that gravel's gone. I'll show you that at the end of the walk around, because a lot happened. I'm I'm wondering now if those cast forms blocks, catch things maybe, are going to go down in the bottom of that fill area to be built up as a drain tower of some kind. That's going to be interesting to see. And one of these trucks pulled in while I was walking up. Talked to this guy for a moment before I went on, because he had the other stop sign. Looking down to see what they were moving with the crane and the dump truck taking off. But I decided to just jump down here and get this look, and then go up and walk across. I watched the dump truck leaving. It kind of looks like they may have put some more concrete behind the, it's not decorative wall, is it? Anyhow, the formed wall in front of the retaining wall, because they had some new plastic over it, like it was needing to cure and not get wet, rained on and stuff. So walking across, the dump truck took off right here. Really good place to put that, because everybody's coming slow up the hill, and so they get good gaps right there. But he quickly ran out, and the empty trucks must come up the hill and just go ahead and exit there and turn around and come back up the hill, because they can't turn around right there. There's too small of a space. But you can see the plastic over here on the left, on top of the wall. Not very well, but It's in shadow. You can see it if you look close enough. And I'm going to have to be driving this every single day for a little bit because every day is going to have a big change. But you can see down the hill, they're still doing work out there. Like it's actually getting prepped for leveling and eventual paving. Big news for that. But rain's been cleared. Thankfully, we need to have somebody do that regularly. And then the cars that were held by the stop sign left, so I just waited until I got across the road to continue with that. The blocks for the pole, and they have this last piece just about hanging over the edge here. And I was pretty shocked with what they said, and I'm still shocked by what they said. It really looks like they need at least 2 segments there, but I don't know. It took 3 segments to cover the pole track on the other side, but we only have 3 segments down on the ground, and one of those segments is going on the end of the bridge. Take a quick glance out there. But they were doing something up here that I hadn't seen done before. They had 2 or 3 weeks ago when I stood there and watched them put the machinery back up after the segment had been put up. They moved this cable roll and that machine that I thought was some kind of hydraulic jack or mover or something. And today they were using them. As I got about here, I started hearing some grinding, and I'm like, what are they doing? And well, they're cutting off the cable, and it seemed like they were moving it to another hole. I'm not sure how that works, but it looked like that's what they were doing. And the machine there is not a hydraulic thing. It is a puller. It was pulling the cable out of the cable bundle, whatever it is there, and feeding it through a pipe to where the holes are, so that they can tie the 2 segments together. It was neat to see. They must cut it off and then push it all the way in, and then put grout in behind it to connect them. It said it's tensioned, so I don't know. I don't know what they do. Anyhow, it was neat to watch, and I tried to see it, but unfortunately, it's kind of hard to see what they're doing. But you might be able to see the sparks coming off of the cutting wheel as they cut the cable. I can't see them very well on the screen myself. Oh, there goes the little shower of sparks. Yeah, there it goes. I tried to block the sunlight, but I wasn't very successful. Then I walked over a little bit more to try to get a better view, better angle. Then I saw the cable coming out of the roll in that holder. It was a little difficult to see in person, and I can't really see it very well at all on the video, so oh well. But that's what they were doing. I just could not get that sun. It's right in the crook of my wrist. That's why I didn't get it covered. Anyhow, they'd run in some cable, cut it off, and then run in some more cable and cut it off. And they did that a couple times, and I realized I just wasn't seeing well enough to be able to show it, but that's what it is. And then when I realized that I wasn't really getting a great view, I went ahead and walked out to the end. And I looked back a couple of times, but still couldn't see very well. Sorry about that. Then I heard and saw something happening down there, and the dump trucks are going out um, out that gap right there. I'm not sure if I saw that they were full or not. Anyhow, looking back, trying to see a little bit more of what was happening over there. Just had the sun in my face, so I couldn't really see a whole lot. But I got up to this guy, and I said, "There's only 3 segments down there," and he was like, "Yeah, that's all that they're getting." I'm like, "Wait a minute. They need at least 1 or 2 more segments to cover up the pull track. So what's going on?" I don't know. They have the end piece, and they're going to place 2 more pieces, one on each end of the bridge to properly cantilever it. And there's just too much gap on the other side. So if they don't get 1 or 2 more segments like they had over here, I don't know how they're going to make it work. Somebody told him that each segment was 30 tons. So 30 times 2,000 is 60,000 pounds. So they're not 600,000, they're 60,000. But I stood here talking to him about what was happening, and he said something really awesome. This bridge is 3 weeks from done. So I'm going to be coming up here every day as much as I can. I'm not going to walk it, but I'm going to drive it with the side views so that we can see the progress, because they're filling in that hole and they want to be done with prepping the road in 3 weeks when they are going to have the bridge done. So big changes are coming, and we're going to see this all finished up. If what he's saying is true, we're going to be done with the parkway by March. And then we're going to start seeing the pavement get ripped out and changed out. So April, we should have the top of the hill done. And that's going to be really cool to see. I went to the other side because I'm walking with traffic instead of against traffic, which is unsafe. But I came down here and I saw that the track hoe was filling up the big dump. And I was like, okay, so gravel. Stood there and watched him do that for a little bit. And I also kind of wanted to see what was happening down the hill. So I figured I'd, you know, catch some of this work. He was Oh my heavens, every time he picked up the bucket, he tipped back and forth a little bit, and it was like, oh my heavens, you have got to feel very uncomfortable with what you're doing there. Yeah, you can watch the whole tractor just tip back and forth as he does this. Not a lot, but I would have been really uncomfortable trying that. Oh my heavens. I've driven a tractor somewhat, and I gotta tell you, when you get to where it's starting to tip around on you, it is not a happy day. They got all those mats and other stuff coming up with the gravel. Obviously not fully cleaned out when they dug it out of the holes. So he fills it up, and I should have kept my hand up better. But I saw that he was almost full, so I started moving. Figured he'd back down and I'd have a chance to see what was going on in a moment. There was traffic coming, but I was able to get down here and watch this next thing happen. It was interesting also to watch this tractor, this bulldozer, come up the hill, because when he got to the top, he picked up his blade and then he shook it. You see it right there? To make sure the dirt fell off. I don't think I've ever seen that done quite that way by any bulldozer operator before. But he's just pushing this pile of dirt up to the top of the hill. I mean, it's quite steep. He has a lot of trust in his machine. Well, that was pretty cool to watch him shake off the dirt like that. He's shaping the ground a little bit, and I went out. I moved because I realized that if those guys needed to move, I needed to move. But also, this guy was on the other side of the hill, so just watching everything happening. Here comes the 𝐥𝐤𝐤 leading the way. He is doing a lot of work, a lot of moving around, a lot of changing. Down the hill he comes. Those guys moved over there. I'm not sure what they were working on, but they did something with the bulldozer operator. Couldn't see what was going on down that little hole. But the big dump was backing down the hill and almost looked like the load would slide out, but it didn't. Big old 6x6. And I stayed and watched the bulldozer run a bit. Then I was like, well, what are they doing down here? So I walked down the hill. And they appear to be making a solid bed for everything else to be built up on. And this dump bed can literally go vertical. I was pretty impressed with how far it moved, how it turned. That's some long hydraulic jacks there. And then the excavator leveled it out and made sure it was at the right plane. And the guy that's walking around back there was uh, telling the excavator operator how good it was. So always neat to watch heavy equipment working because you're not moving it by hand, but these guys are making just such smooth and perfectly flat stuff. I mean, relative to what they can, but still, it was just, I am always in awe of watching a good operator run his machine. And some of those mats, the stabilization mats, were all cut up in the gravel, and the excavator operator pulled a bunch of them out, and then he did something funny with them. But they were hanging down a long way. I don't remember if I filmed it or not, but he started coming up the hill and didn't have them quite far enough off the ground, and he got them caught underneath the track. It just about pulled the arm down to the ground. It was it was a bit funny to watch. It was like walking on shoelaces. But he moved back and forth a bit to get everything just out needed, and then he rolled over it all. He rolled over it all to make sure it was compacted properly. And that other guy was standing there just making sure that it all was properly flattened. It was really neat to see this. But with 3 weeks to go, this hole is going to get filled in quickly. So I'm guessing that a good chunk, if not almost all of that gravel that's up top is going to get moved down here. I almost needed two excavators, one at the top of the hill and this one. But they're moving along like they need to, so not a big deal at this point. You got to know that that excavator weighs at least 10 to 20 tons. The arm itself has got to be 5 or 6. So he's just rolling over it and compacting it. There he's pulling some of the mats out. As you can see, if you look closely, they're just barely not under the track. And then did he come back down again or something? I don't remember. But he went up one time and they were just a little bit too low, and they caught on the track, and he had to stop and back up and lift the arm up a little bit more. There it goes. Oops, I meant to do that. But I realized that this was just going to be a lot of the same. So I went ahead and quit and went back to the van and drove out. So if what they're saying is true, we have until the end of February to have the Parkway Bridge fully completed. And then they're going to tear out the asphalt and concrete down below and pour those lanes. So I'm wondering if it's possible that by the end of March, we won't be shifting over to the other side. We'll be shifted to the northbound lanes, or whatever that is, because they'll be done with the French Broad Bridge and the paving on both sides of it, and they'll just they've got the entire top of the hill to pave with concrete and all of its asphalt right now. So are they going to finish completely the southbound lanes and then shift everybody over on the top of the hill while they repave the top of the hill? I don't know. But here's the side view. Pulling in here, I was like, oh my heavens, there's a lot of trucks here. But it was easy to get in and out, and I wasn't getting in their way, so they weren't worried about it. Tried to keep the sun behind the A-pillar. I succeeded after I got smoothed out and moving. Excavator sitting there again. Dump truck waiting to be filled up. And we had the other dump truck up here. Nope, he'd already been filled up and taken off. Okay. And they said that they have one more pair to place at the bridge, and that looks right on that end. But on this end, that's too big of a gap. They're going to need at least one more segment. So I don't know. And then of course the road has to be pulled over, and they're going to start putting those stabilization mats down in the gravel to stabilize the ground and work it all up. But we got big progress, and it's going to be very visible. So that's the end for this week. I hope to see you next time. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.